there is a strange kind of pain that no one talks about. It is not loud, it does not leave bruises, it simply changes the way you carry yourself. You stop making eye contact. You hesitate before speaking. You smile even when you do not feel like it. Little by little, your face begins to tell a story you never meant to write. People think your appearance is only shaped by genetics or age, but Marcus Aurelius believed that the mind leaves its fingerprints on the body. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you refuse to master, every habit you practice in silence slowly becomes visible, and the most dangerous part is that you rarely notice it happening. Maybe that explains why you no longer recognize the man staring back from the mirror. Not because your face has changed overnight, but because invisible habits have been stealing something from you every single day. If this message speaks to something you've been carrying, subscribe, leave a like, and stay until the very end. The final lesson is often the one people ignore, yet it quietly changes everything. The first habit is carrying emotional chaos like a badge of honor. Many men believe that feeling everything intensely proves they are alive. But there is a difference between feeling emotions and becoming controlled by them. Anger sits in your jaw. Anxiety settles into your shoulders. Resentment hardens your eyes. Fear steals the confidence from your walk. Your appearance becomes a portrait of battles that no one else can see. Marcus Aurelius spent his life surrounded by war, betrayal, and uncertainty. Yet he constantly turned his attention inward because he understood that the greatest battlefield was never outside. When you allow every insult to live rent-free in your mind, you become a prisoner without realizing it. The world does not have to defeat you if your own emotions are already doing the job. But if emotional chaos changes your appearance, what happens when your silence comes from weakness instead of strength? There are two kinds of silence. One is peaceful, the other is fearful. The peaceful man does not argue because he has nothing to prove. The fearful man stays quiet because he believes his voice has no value. From the outside, both men appear silent. Inside, they are worlds apart. People sense the difference before you ever speak. Weak silence makes your posture collapse. Strong silence makes your presence impossible to ignore. Respect rarely belongs to the loudest person in the room. It belongs to the person who controls himself when everyone else is losing control, and that raises another uncomfortable question. What if the thing making you less attractive is not your appearance at all, but your need to be accepted? Many men spend years chasing approval without noticing the cost. They change their opinions to fit the room. They laugh at jokes they do not enjoy. They apologize for existing. Every act of people-pleasing removes another layer of authenticity, until even they forget who they really are. Human psychology is simple. People value what values itself. When you constantly seek permission to be respected, you quietly announce that you do not believe you deserve it. Self-respect cannot be borrowed from another person's opinion. It must be built alone, often in complete silence. Loneliness is where many men lose themselves, but it is also where they are rebuilt. Most people run from being alone because solitude forces them to meet the person they have been avoiding. Without distractions, excuses disappear. Every insecurity becomes louder. Every regret walks into the room. Marcus Aurelius treated solitude like a place of restoration instead of punishment. He understood that a man who cannot sit peacefully with himself will eventually become dependent on people who do not truly value him. Loneliness is painful, but dependence is far more expensive. Still, there is another habit that quietly destroys both your appearance and your peace. Overthinking. The mind begins replaying conversations that ended days ago. You imagine arguments that never happen. You create problems that do not exist. Your body cannot tell the difference between imagined danger and real danger. Stress becomes permanent. Sleep becomes shallow. Your face begins carrying the weight of invisible battles. The greatest thief is not time. It is mental repetition. Every hour spent arguing with imaginary people is an hour stolen from becoming a stronger version of yourself. The Stoic path is not about suppressing thought. It is about refusing to become its servant. Yet some wounds run deeper than overthinking. Betrayal changes the way a man sees the world. It teaches him to question kindness. It teaches him to expect disappointment. Slowly, hope becomes replaced by suspicion. Even genuine people begin paying the price for someone else's actions. But Marcus Aurelius understood something that remains difficult to accept. Another person's character belongs to them. Your response belongs to you. Bitterness feels powerful because it promises protection. In reality, it chains you to the very people you wish to forget. Every day you replay their betrayal. They continue, shaping your life without lifting a finger. Imagine carrying a burning coal, believing it punishes someone else. Eventually, your own hand suffers the damage. Then comes another silent habit that few men recognize. Neglecting discipline because motivation feels easier. Motivation is emotional weather. Discipline is architecture. Some mornings you will feel inspired. Many mornings you will not. The man who depends on inspiration becomes inconsistent. The man who depends on discipline becomes reliable, even to himself. Every workout completed when no one is watching. Every difficult conversation handled with dignity. Every promise kept despite discomfort. These are invisible investments that slowly transform not only your life but the way your face reflects confidence. Confidence is rarely loud. It is usually quiet consistency repeated over months that no audience ever sees. But even disciplined, men can fall into another trap, comparing themselves to everyone else. Social media has convinced many people that someone else's highlight reel is evidence of their own failure. You measure your beginning against another person's finish. You compare your struggles to someone else's carefully edited victories. Comparison steals gratitude before it steals confidence. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that every human being has a different path, different burdens, and different timing. Your purpose cannot be discovered while you are busy living someone else's life. The strongest oak never competed with the mountain. It simply continued growing where it stood. Still, one habit remains even more destructive. Living as though comfort is the highest goal. Comfort whispers gently, "Stay in bed." Avoid the difficult conversation. Delay the dream. Ignore the responsibility. At first it feels harmless. Over time, comfort becomes a quiet prison with invisible walls. Human beings are designed to adapt. When you repeatedly avoid discomfort, your capacity for resilience shrinks. Small problems begin feeling enormous because you have stopped practicing courage. Purpose almost always waits behind inconvenience. Every meaningful transformation demands that an older version of you becomes uncomfortable enough to disappear. And finally, there is one habit that silently changes everything else. Forgetting that your appearance begins in your character. People spend fortunes trying to improve the outside while neglecting the inside. Better clothes cannot hide insecurity forever. A better haircut cannot replace integrity. Muscles cannot compensate for a restless mind. Real presence is not purchased. It is earned through countless invisible decisions. Choosing honesty when deception would be easier. Choosing patience when anger feels justified. Choosing discipline when excuses seem reasonable. Choosing peace when chaos invites you in. Marcus Aurelius never taught that life would become easy. His philosophy pointed toward something far greater, becoming the kind of man whose peace cannot be purchased, whose dignity cannot be stolen, and whose character remains steady no matter how violently the world changes around him. Perhaps the mirror has never been your enemy. Perhaps it has simply been telling the truth. Every habit leaves a mark. Every thought writes another sentence onto your face. Every decision shapes the man you are becoming long before anyone notices. The world may never applaud the battles you fight in silence. No one will celebrate the temptation you resisted, the anger you mastered, the loneliness you endured without surrendering your values, or the discipline you practiced when quitting seemed easier. But those moments are quietly building something that no rejection can destroy and no praise can improve. One day, someone will look at you and wonder why you seem calm in situations that break everyone else. They will notice confidence without arrogance, strength without aggression, and peace without pretending. They may believe it happened naturally, only you will know the truth. It was built one silent habit at a time. Thanks for watching, and until next time.